Super apps are the hottest buzz right now in the US tech industry, but a true super app hasn't really come to fruition yet in the market. Analogous services have remained largely distributed, with a larger array of apps and websites, each offering consumers a smaller subset of vertical functionalities. In contrast, Asia for more than a decade has been dominated by super apps. Platforms like WeChat, Alipay, and Meituan are the most popular platforms in China, each offering an enormous network of services, all in their own respective integrated apps. Given the scale of these platforms' growth in Asia, WeChat, for example, has more than 1 billion active monthly users and a ton of mini apps within its one app. It's not surprising that US tech leaders are eager to replicate its success. With Elon's acquisition of Twitter, now X, he's expressed interest in growing the platform to be the super app in the US, leveraging its existing 400 million user base as an accelerant. But of course, the US market is very different from countries in Asia for a number of reasons, like having different market positions, growth plans, and regulatory, technical, and cultural contexts. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Dark Mode Digest, where we explore today's most important topics in the tech industry. In this episode, we'll delve into what super apps really are, their domination in Asia, why they work in Asia, why super apps won't work in the US, and what the future holds for super apps in the US. So, watch this video until the end, as this is a juicy one. Here we go. A super app is a single application that's accessible by any device like your mobile device and web browsers. However, it's not just selling a lot of different types of products and services on a mobile app. It's an enclosed ecosystem that offers multiple diversified services for everyday use like social media, messaging, travel booking, ride-hailing, e-commerce marketplaces, payments, and countless of other products and services, all under one platform. Super apps make it easy to accomplish a wide variety of tasks as long as the tasks occur within the walled garden. This works by relying on mini programs or lightweight apps that run inside another app. They don't need to be downloaded or upgraded separately through app stores. It also generally leverages a common financial transaction platform. There are a lot of benefits to this model. Organizing multiple offerings within one app within a consolidated user journey can boost user engagement, create strong network effects, and reduce switching costs that lock in users, sellers, and advertisers. It also provides companies with unparalleled access to a wide array of user data that can be used to uncover consumer preferences for ad targeting and better personalized experiences. Data is also critical for helping teams decide on new products to add to their ecosystem. And because these new products would still live within the same app, it presents additional growth levers to seamlessly promote these new services to consumers on the platform. The super app model doesn't just have product and user experience benefits. It also helps organizations reduce costs. Many programs cut down on development times and generally provide a shorter time for go-to-market. It's no wonder why super apps took off in Asia. Over the last decade, super apps have taken Asia by storm, particularly the South and East. Paytime and Tata Neu in India, Go2Gojek in Indonesia, Zalo in Vietnam, WeChat, Alipay, and Meituan in China, KakaoTalk in South Korea, which boasts an active user base of 87% of the country's population, which is a little over 50 million people, Line in Japan and Taiwan, and Grab in Singapore and other parts of Southeast Asia. How did this happen? 3 reasons. The first is because of Asia's low adoption of traditional payment systems. Credit cards and debit cards never became widespread, contrary to the US. This paved way for Asian mobile payment systems that underpin many super app ecosystems today. In particular, merchants in China had been long reluctant to accept debit and credit cards because of transaction fees and technological infrastructure requirements to do so. Services like WeChat Pay and Alipay came in to solve these pain points by offering a largely free system for transacting and storing digital funds, all without the need of any robust technologies. You basically just needed a mobile device with internet access. In countries like Vietnam and Indonesia, many citizens didn't even have a bank, which boosted demand for digital wallets and super apps. The second reason is because of Asian countries having weak smartphones with poor infrastructure a decade ago. Back then, as smartphones were on the rise, many of these technologies in Asia weren't as powerful as the ones in the US. These countries also lacked robust data and internet coverage across their lands. So for Asian citizens, their phones weren't actually capable of downloading more than 20 to 30 apps, let alone managing and using them at the same time. This led to single apps throughout the years, adding on new products and services within their platform. The last reason is during the early days of super apps in countries like China, there was limited government regulation related to data privacy protection. They took advantage of this and largely avoided antitrust penalties. Both WeChat and Alipay owed some of their successes to their underregulated use of customer funds stored in their digital wallets, which they used to invest in overnight funds and interest-bearing accounts, as well as facilitating underregulated peer-to-peer lending. They weren't required to share any of this transaction data with regulators or implement systems to fight money laundering and other illicit activities on their platforms. None of this would have been possible in a more tightly regulated market. China has since cracked down on companies' use of consumer funds and anti-competitive practices. So these companies' early business models most likely wouldn't have worked in today's world. We all know the difficulties US companies face with penetrating the Chinese market. Facebook, Google, YouTube, and even Uber have all tried but failed. The ways in which China regulates foreign apps more strictly than other countries have also contributed to the growth of its super app economy. These restrictions in China help it maintain national security and social and moral order. Or that's what the Chinese government says. What it really does is protect its companies like Tencent's WeChat and Alibaba from foreign competition, giving them space to grow and build loyal customers to their platforms. This is how super apps were created and how they dominate Asia. But for the US, it's a different story. Let's break it down. In the US, many of today's big tech giants started out before the widespread adoption of smartphones, offering only web-based services on personal computers like Google Search, Facebook, Amazon, and Dropbox. These companies developed mobile apps later on, but each still offered only limited functionality for their apps in the beginning. This approach has fragmented the US app market, partially causing companies to offer single service apps or apps with just a few services. On the other hand, the Asian tech landscape wasn't built on a foundation of fragmented desktop-first experiences. Many Asian consumers' first experience with the internet was on their mobile devices, which were designed as super app ecosystems from the ground up. These consumers weren't already locked into a diverse array of separate apps, which helped grow the super app ecosystem. Asian tech companies essentially skipped the web era and went mobile first. Some US tech leaders and even consumers have also feared app overload or feature bloat in their apps. This is a phenomenon in which an app has too many services that cause it to be slow and clunky, confusing to use, and could potentially relegate some functions in the app to be second class in consumers' minds. For example, Meta, which was Facebook back then, made the decision back in 2014 to spin off Messenger as a separate app for messages from Facebook's mobile app. Google engineers have indicated that for their larger apps like Google Maps, they've already inching closer to infrastructure limitations, making their teams hesitant to further expand the functionality of those apps. Let's also not forget about the regulatory concerns of the US government with super apps. Their concerns are with data privacy, security, and one or two companies owning a monopoly over the market. We've already seen them fight battles with Microsoft and its $69 billion Activision Blizzard deal, Meta's dominance in social, and Google's anti-competitive practices. Right now in the US, the economic structure of major industries is generally run by oligopolies, 3 to 4 really large firms that control the majority of the market. In tech, we all know the big ones. A super app wannabe like X will most likely meet resistance from these companies who may see themselves trying to build the same type of app. Americans generally have a distaste for excessively powerful companies and tend to view large corporations with suspicion. They don't like the thought of giving up all their information to one organization. That's just too much control. So, if all these factors are working against super apps in the US, what future do they have in the country? Let's break it down. The US tech landscape will probably not look the same as those that have dominated Asia. As I mentioned before, the differences in regulatory environments, economic structures, market conditions, and general consumer preferences have kept true super apps from taking off outside of Asia. However, we've already seen companies creating their own light versions of super apps. Uber is a great example of an app that provides most of your transportation needs. You can go anywhere with a driver or get anything delivered by a courier. They're a mini super app for for transportation. Meta's Facebook app has grown a lot since its pure social network days. It now has payments, a marketplace for goods, gaming, video, and even dating. They're becoming a mini super app for social. Amazon is obviously for shopping. You can get retail, groceries, medicine, games, electronics, and just about anything. A super app is an integrated ecosystem, not just a variety of products. We'll most likely still have the companies build new services on top of their existing apps in the same vertical. Uber will continue building more services for transportation, and Meta will continue with social. But a true everything app like WeChat, Elon Musk is taking a big bet on this with X. And honestly, I'm not sure it'll work out.